Hi guys, good evening. Thanks for joining in. So we are starting right about now. Sorry. So my name is Eugene Adavere. For those just joining in for the first time, welcome to Design with You. This is basically a weekly session we hold where we invite designers that are senior to talk about topics that we believe will help to upscale the community. So we've been having this for a while, and today we are having the design lead of DAO HQ, Marvis Ighedosa. So a bit about Marvis. So he's a product designer specializing in interface and experience design with years of experience designing softwares and products for businesses, small tech and big tech. Using his powers of, he says, telekinesis, he designs interface designs, experiences, and systems and help them scale. He mentors at Design Lab. He is also a founder at Young Title Designers, whilst also helping building brands, communities, such as Webflow, Stack, Atlassian, and a lot more. So Marvis is a professional speaker. He speaks to corporations, businesses, and creative audiences like this one on ways design as a service can influence businesses and user decisions to yield positive results. So tonight we have the privilege of having him talk to us on design ops and systems. So how this will go is for the next couple of minutes, he will be sharing his slides to share what he has for us. After that, we'll have questions answered as well. So Marvis, the floor is yours. Good evening.
Good evening, you. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here on the Design with EU Weekly. Good evening, Olali. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, you could, you know, drop a hi on the chat, and happy to reply, everyone. Yeah, I'm so glad and privileged to be on the Design with EU Weekly webinar. And I think he has been a big boss of mine, a close friend, and also an amazing designer. And happy to be on this webinar for this week. And yeah, I think first of all, I want to apologize. I think it came on short notice on the announcement and those. So I think been a bit tied up, but I'm glad I could, take out time this Sunday, and hope you all having a blast of a Sunday, and happy to share my knowledge on design ops and systems. So yeah, I would get started. Hi, Nero. Amazing. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Hi, James. Hi, James Moses. Yeah, I think I will be discussing on design ops and systems, and on the Design with EU weekly webinar. And yeah, I think this is my favorite part of this of design. Design is a very broad and wild career path, but this is my favorite part. I love talking about systems because these help in producing faster output. It helps in managing your time. It helps in, eliminating distractions and making you work faster and producing bigger results. So it's more of this 80-20 principle where, you know, you give 20 effort and you get 80% maximum result. So design ops, they help in not stressing a lot or not working smartly, and also producing big results. So I'll go to the next slide. And I think, yeah, thank you you for the introduction. I think it felt like those moments when you're chilling and you're waiting to be introduced, and someone say a bunch of stuff about you. It was really it was really cool to hear. And yeah, I think I am Marvis, and I'm product designer specializing in designs. And I think I tell myself I have some superpowers. I think it just makes me see how design, is cool. I use telekinesis in, designing interfaces. If Any of you watched X-Men? Um, I've forgotten his name. Oh, forgotten his name. If anyone knows the X-Men superhero who has that power of telekinesis, you could drop it on the chat. Jane, Jane. Yes, yes, and Dr. X. Yes, Jane and Dr. X. Yeah, I think they can move things with your mind. Yeah, and I mentor a ton of creative of Design Lab and also part of co-build and founder of Untitled Designers, which is one of Africa's biggest design conferences. And I also help build. Oh, Favor said Savior. Is Savior on X-Men? Mm, okay, I think I don't know Savior. Well, check it out. Yes, that's Charles. Okay, great. So sorry, guys. I think I love watching movies. Professor X. Thanks to yeah, Charles, Professor X, Jane. I think they all got superpowers. And yeah, back to what I was saying is I also speak to businesses and corporations on how design as a service can influence business decisions. And I also lie or I reside at the intersection between business, product, and community. So I help business, land, their goal, achieve the goals. I also help, product, building cool stuff. I help in pushing out products and designing interfaces for startups and companies and blah blah blah. I think then, my interest, I love bitch, I love music, I love quietness, and I love video games a lot. So if you're a fan of FIFA or God of War, I think we should link up. Dislikes I dislike social media, still working on it. Dislike too much crowd, and I dislike outside in general. So I think there are a lot of debits a lot outside. Uh, yeah, FIFA. Let's dig it out. And also, I'm super bullish on VR and crypto. So I think there are. That's why I have very headsets. So I show people that how interested I am in VR. And yeah, I think I am super bullish on VR and crypto. And yeah, I think they're the future, and I think they have great potential in the future as well. And yeah, I think the agenda, straight to the agenda, is I'll be giving an introduction on design ops and systems, and also why design ops matters. Then a bit about design systems, components of design ops, getting started with design ops and systems, then summary, and lastly, which is item 7, since we're not in a physical gathering. Item 7 normally it will be food and drinks and sweet jollof rices. But I think item 7 here will be questions. So if you have any questions, please write it down, and by the end, or definitely you could drop them in the chat. And I love a conversation kind of presentation. So be happy to discuss them in the chat while we move on. Okay, yeah, so everyone will be, the old reason we're here is what is design ops. So I got some definition from Google and big companies like Capgemini and Nelson Mandela Group, NMG, and Frog, which is the name of a company from Capgemini Invents, said design ops is a human-centered approach to building stronger decision teams that supports the orchestration of individuals, processes, and tools to amplify creativity, blah blah blah. Similar to DevOps, which has revolutionized the development process with an agile, iterative approach. So these are a bunch of big words, right? Then from Nelson Mandela Groups said design ops refers to the orchestration and optimization of people, processes, and craft in order to amplify design's value and impact at scale. So this is Nelson Mandela Group. I think these are like leaders in the UX department and in the design industry in general. But an overview on what I feel and from my years of experience in design is designing ops is the integration and overall improvement processes and crafts to increase the value and impact of design at scale. So design ops are processes. It's like when you are about to eat breakfast in the morning, the process of we don't have real superpowers where we could tell the conflicts to pour in the plate itself, then come to us in the room, right? So design ops are like these processes where you take these steps to achieve a big result. So just the way you walk to the kitchen, you take a plate, take a spoon, You pour in cornflakes, pour in milk, pour in sugar, if you use any, and you go back and eat, right? So these processes in which you tend to eat or you tend to do something in design, they are called design operations. So in short, design ops, design operations. So you could, if you see interchangeably, using these words interchangeably, please let me know. So design ops may sound like a very complicated word. So when I talk about design ops, it's like, okay, what's this big, new word in design again? We designers, we're always coming up with, big words. So, it sounds like a big word, but I want to say that's processes and measures that focus on supporting designers in creating consistent and quality designs. So one thing is about creating a good design, another thing is about creating consistent design, and they are of good quality, of course. So design ops are processes, are like each of these processes which we'll discuss, that will help you produce consistently. One thing I tell designers, and one thing I did was I produced content consistently at the early stage of my career. So I uploaded a bunch of UI designs. I still do, but it's a lot on my plate. So I think I have reduced on that. But one thing I see is people actually fail in producing designs consistently. Dropping designs every day, doing one thing over and over, conducting research, consistently. So one thing I found out or I studied is these design ops. They are processes that help me produce designs fast, consistently, and of good quality also. And okay, so why design ops matter is it helps in adapting and growing design teams. So as a design leader at HQ, design ops really helped me in growing our team and adapting with new teams and all of those. And it helps in finding and hiring people with the right skills, of course. So, but I think what my focus would be on design with EU session would be, design ops matter because it helps us in setting efficient work procedures and improves the efficacy of design outputs. So it helps us in having a procedure on, if you tell yourself you have a goal of designing maybe 50 designs every month or two mobile products, you carry out the user research to the design and you share it on social media. If you have a goal of doing it, or if you're in a company and you have a goal of improving your company's website, user retention for in the next, or for 20%, if you have a goal business wise or user goals, it's good to have design ops set up. It's good for you to set up design operations. It helps you work better, improve your efficiency and improve your efficacy of design outputs. And designers may focus on developing and researching also. That's why it matters. So you focus on building these strengths and while researching, while building. So you have a streamlined process. All industries need to figure out how to cut back on red tape and unnecessary communications if they want to expand. And one of the alternatives available to reach each sector is design ops. So UX professionals need to understand how to properly handle more than other people. We typically grow more fast than the rest of the company as the business comes to see the value and potential in us. So these are like, once again, so it's like a bunch of big words, but what it means is that design is growing in life in general. There wasn't what we called it wasn't really popular, but I would say it wasn't really popular. We say UX researchers, QA analysts, what we called, these roles, they weren't popular some years back. So businesses are finding out that design actually affects the company big time. So they're giving designers more flexibility, more. I think there are sometimes I go on calls with stakeholders of VCs and all of those. So I ask myself, like, what's the need of me being in this call? They talk a lot of bunch of monies and a lot of technical stuff, but I think I need to be there so that if they need a design direction or a design advice, I will be there. But it wasn't so some years back. Designers aren't really carried along in business companies' decisions, but I think that is changing recently, and I'm so glad that is. So design ops really helps you in managing your time with processes and also your output, so how often you produce quality designs. And I think I've been talking for a while. If you have any questions, please You could drop them in the chat, and if I'm going too fast, please let me know. So I'm happy to take, a break or slow down a bit. So we're talking about design ops. Let's talk about design systems. We all know design systems is like a series of components that can be reused in different combinations. Design system allows you to manage design at scale. The design systems consider like your buttons, your shapes, and your components, your footers. These are reusable elements, so it helps you have consistent design guidelines. So I have a question for us. I think I would love us to discuss about this is, when should a design system be created? Is it before, during, or after a project? I think this is a very core question that sometimes I tend to, I love arguing this. So I love knowing, everybody's idea is definitely welcome. Well, I love to know, when do you think or when do you create a design system? Do you create it before a project, during a project, or after a project? I'd love to hear our thoughts on those. Yeah, said probably before. Okay. Okay. So probably you mean you drop some, then while you build your design system along with it, right? I'd love to hear your insights on the chat. So guys, I'm waiting for your, I need another one before I'll continue. Okay, so I think, okay, before and during, keyword before and during, suppose. Okay, okay. So I think, yeah, so before and during, I think those are cool points. And yeah, I think these are the good way to do it. And sometimes I still do design systems like after. Yeah, 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 that's true. That's some. Yeah. So before, during, after, there's no bad time to start a design system. I didn't want to go deep into design systems because must have gotten people talk about it. So yeah, you might do it after, due to some project, and if you need it for other projects. Amazing. Thanks for your input, guys. Okay, so let's talk about design ops and what it entails, components, and all of those, the menu of design ops. So this is credit to the Nelson Mandela Group, because we visit them. They are like the best our leaders in UX explanations and helping you clarify stuff in design in general. So components of design ops involves how we work together. So how you work together in a team. If you're freelancing, how you work together alone. And if you're an agency, how you work together with other designers, product managers, engineers, and all of those. And it also involves how we get our work done. It involves how our work creates impact. So how we get our work done. Components involve organization, collaboration, and humanization, which means structure for your company or yourself as a freelancer, role definition, rituals and meetings, blah blah blah. So dive in deep all of those in the next few hours or next few minutes. Okay, so on our work together on design ops, I think design ops help us plan for how we organize, meaning it helps us plan how we design organizational structure. So even when I was not working full time, when I was focused on freelancing, organizational structure is a very good key, meaning I know who is in charge of, or I know when I should be a product manager. I know when I should be a designer, and I know when I should be the CEO of my personal freelance company, right? So how do we structure our teams and build the right team, which is organization, or how do we structure ourselves, involving creating or a skill complete design team. If you're working freelancer in a company, you must have your UX researcher, you must have your, I think this discussion also for people who are transiting into, lead design roles where you're in charge of other designers also. And also I think this is for people who are trying to improve on the process on design. and also defining both the role of individual designers and design department as a role. Because one thing we do in DAO-HQ is every designer have a role, but together they have a role in the company. So just the way we talk, we have our daily stand-up, just that is just the way we have in our company stand-up, where as a company, as a design team, we are like working independently, but also dependently on the company. So we're like this cool guys doing stuff that affects the company, while do stuff that affects themselves as a individual. So next up is our work together as collaboration, defining a structure for regular rituals and meetings. So even with them when I was freelancing right now, there are sometimes I block a particular time every 3 days in the week or every day in the week where um we just discuss rituals. We just talk about our meetings. We just go through whatever I'm designing. If I was working freelance, I just go over my colleague. I think James also would do that when we work on some project. We have these processes whereby we if no matter how big or small the company project we're working on, we tend to set out meetings time where we just talk about where we are and what we're going to. And next up is how we collaborate, ensuring group spaces and environments are conducive for collaboration, establishing communities of practice for skills and interest sharing. So I'll go to the next one, which is humanize. I think this is one of my favorite parts in how we work together, which is the design operation. So how you work together with your team in the company and how you work together with yourself. Because if you're a single or a solo designer, you tend to act all roles, you tend to act as a product manager, you tend to act as a UX researcher, you tend to act as the UI designer, you tend to act as a product designer or an interaction designer. So humanizing means how do we ensure that hiring, onboarding, and personal development practice, which is key, personal development, treat employees like humans. So humanizing means how do you treat yourself as a human in relation to your work as design. So for hiring, we talk about designing interview practices that are specific to the needs of the team, establishing consistent hiring and onboarding practice, then standardizing transparent career pathways for both management and non-management roles, which means that, as a person, you should have, or as a company, you should have, standard pathways for a career path, meaning you should know when to go for holidays, you should know when to take a break, you should know when to relax to avoid burnout. Because as designers, it's very easy for us to burn out. Sometimes, it's very easy for us to have this, this mindset of we're not doing enough when, on the side we're actually doing great. So it's good to have a standard, transparent career path if it's a company, and also for a solo designer for yourself, meaning you should know when to relax, you should know when to rest, and you should know when to take breaks when necessary. So you humanize yourself as a designer. So design ops is not just about these big systems or structure. It's about we and how we treat ourselves as humans. Okay. Okay, where is this not going next? Just right here, I think the slide. Okay, first time. This was playing on. Okay. I don't know what's going on, but I will just do this. Okay, so on how we get our work done, which is the second component of design operations, is standardizing, harmonizing, and priority. Which is standardizing means how do you facilitate your design quality through consistent tool set processes, and so standardizing may cover how you document and optimize high level design process. I think one issue I see right now is we designers sometimes we tend to forget how, or we tend to forget documenting our processes. I think I saw a designer one time, and she showed me a product, and it was very cool. So I asked her, so what were your process like? So we're trying to interview her for the role, and I was asking her, what was your process? And I think she didn't have much of a process, but during her interview call, she discussed on how she did competitive analysis, how she went online to find products and key insights and all of those. She carried out research activities well, but she failed to document those. She failed to know, where she went to and interviewed, or participants she interviewed for research and all of those. So one key is, all don't fail to document and optimize your high-level design processes. So for initiation, so when you get the idea, when your company gives you a goal or a feature to design, from when you start thinking, you should always document your processes. And okay, defining and aligning purposeful design activities within the design processes, auditing the use of the same design tool for efficient collaboration. So I think one is my day-to-day workflow as a lead designer is I'm always on Google Docs, I'm always on Google Sheets, I'm always on Meet, Google Meet, I'm always on Jira, and few times I'm on Figma, right? So that is my role, and that is how my personal self as a designer, that is how my design operations are. So I go to Google Docs, review some documents for other designers, for the team, for management, send them over, go on Google Meet, jump on a bunch of calls, go on Google Sheets and check out some, analysis and all of those, or, goals of the week, goals of the month, check out, user charts and all of those. But I think a few times I'm on Figma actually designing. So those are my design processes, and I've tried to always document it, and auditing, which is enforcing the use of the same tool. So no doubt, and I don't know. I think we all designers are angry on Figma and Adobe acquisition, right? God bless Figma, and we hope Figma are the best and Adobe doesn't kill them. But it's good that we always enforce the same, the use of the same tools throughout a company or as a solo designer, where I tell everyone, okay, for we product designers, we all using Figma. So the design process or design operations is you must use Figma for prototyping, for research, and all of those. You must use FigJam. So if you're a designer using Sketch, if you're coming on DAO because we have a design operation process, you must adapt to ours, and you must use Figma. So I think auditing and enforcing the use of the same design tools is great for collaboration. So if for collaborating, it's seamless. Everybody uses Figma, but if one is using Sketch and the other team member is using um, Adobe XD and you're using Figma, there's a gap in efficient collaboration. Harmonizing, which means scaling and managing design teams to create efficiencies for designers. And harmonizing means how do we share and expand design intelligence so that we all work from the same shared understanding. Meaning, how do we expand design intelligence? How do we harmonize it? How do we make it sweet that all of us designers will work together? And I think it involves, scaling and managing design systems. And I think I see most portfolios right now is most designers are actually running away from design systems. I think this is right now, design system is a very key role. It's a very big role. It's with huge pay. So I would suggest, if you're interested in design system, I would say you should focus solely on design systems and build yourself in design systems. I think there are a bunch of jobs waiting. So there are less design system designer, and I think there are more UX designers, UX researchers, and all of those, which is great. So design system as a career path is actually very open. I think there was some time I was actually looking for a design system designer, and it took a bunch of time. I think I didn't see one until a very long time. So having a designer who focus solely on design system is key, because it's great in design ops in small startups and big companies. So, if you're tired of research, or research isn't your fancy, I would suggest you going into design systems, talking about tokens, talking about libraries, talking about components, instances, talking about reusable components and all of those. So design systems is actually a great career path if you're interested in it. And yeah, there's a bunch of harmonizing. So, cut a long story short, then we'll talk about prioritizing, how we get our work done. How do you prioritize? This is very key. If you're working as a solo designer, is how do you make sure that you have a plan and you prioritize your plan according to its state. So if it's of high priority, low priority, how do you prioritize your plan? And how do you make decisions about what projects to work on, what to work on them? So prioritizing consists of a few, which is exposing bottlenecks in the design workflow. So prioritizing means knowing what work is very important and what work is not. Yeah, it's also involving understanding design team capacity in order to accurately estimate and allocate project. Hi, Grace. So yeah, I think the slides will be available right after the call. Okay, yeah. Thank you to her. Understanding design team capacity in order to accurately estimate and allocate projects, use objective and consistent methods to prioritize features of project. Meaning it's great for designers to prioritize by using consistent methods, meaning you should know what method is great to push out now. So there are sometimes in DAO HQ where I work, there are sometimes and design or stakeholders come and say, hey guys, we need to design, VCs are asking for it, we need it right now. And I'll tell them, hey, you should relax, you should know if we should calculate if this is of high priority right now. So there are sometimes requests come from higher table on prioritizing features. So if you have a good design ops or have a good design op process whereby we send a doc for you to input all the idea you want and how we should develop it, then we ask a bunch of questions to know if that feature is of importance in terms of calculating, on a scale, its user goals, its business goals, and its technical considerations and all of those. So having a consistent method to prioritize features is great. So what we do at DAO HQ is we have a method whereby we send in, a Google form link or a link where, stakeholders, business leaders in the company, if they want a particular feature to be designed and built, they fill out these forms and by themselves, they'll be able to calculate the priority rate. So if after the form, they send them a result of what they filled, and if they see that it's of high priority, we definitely move with it. But if it's of low priority or medium priority, I think we would keep it in the backlog and focus on what's very important at the moment. And understanding team capacity, I think that's for a big corporation. And our working creates impact is a bunch of plenty stuff again. So it's measure how do we make design accountable, socialize, how we educate others. Socialize is a very important aspect. I think as designers we tend to over explain things, which I don't like. I actually don't like over explaining a bunch of stuff. So what we do is, our Figma file, we have a place whereby we put all Figma resources, all UX research term, we talk about all of those. So if you as a marketer, because there are sometimes marketers come in, meet you and say, hey, Marvis, can you help us export an icon, which is on the Figma file, right? So you shouldn't bother disturbing me with those small requests. I think it's a very simple effort that with a bit of education, which is, part of our design operation process, you could able to export an icon, right? So we have, a process whereby we keep our Figma files and, with stages where marketers in the company, salespeople, legal people, they could go on Figma, learn about what they want to do. So they don't want to export something. There's a section whereby how to export icons, images, and all of those. It explains to them, and they receive it, and also they do the action or they carry out the task they wanted us to carry out by themselves. So socializing, which is how to educate users, and talks about recognizing and rewarding teams for applying. So I think we do this annual ritual where, every week we give, in token in crypto company, we give, team members cash where, for example, you did a lot of stuff. Like, for example, you went to Figma and you dropped some feedbacks, you exported some icons by yourself without disturbing the design team. We recognize and reward teams that apply design practices to their work. And enablement, which is the last, which is part of components of a design operation systems. Enable means how do we cultivate the understanding or use of design activities, even by those outside of the design team. So enabling might include educating people outside design team, which is sometimes, which I also discussed. So there are sometimes, our partners, or other designers, if we're working in a contract base where, they need to do a part of work of DAO HQ. So we have the system whereby we have a place to onboard them on our design systems, on our design rules, on our rituals, on our meetings. So we educate people outside of the design team on how to use our design tools, on how to use Jira and all of those. So that's part of our design ops. So if you're working as a solo designer, it's great for you to have a process whereby if you'll be collaborating with, an external product manager or an external designer, you should have processes on how to explain to them how you work, your time zone, how you work, when you work, what time you're most available, what time you have of high energy, and all of those. I think it's great, and it eliminates a bunch of problems that may occur when, in the future when working with an external body, right? So creating accessible design activity to avoid teams as bottleneck challenge, implementing skill training to ensure that activities are understood and used appropriately. So I think the second one, which is creating accessible design activities, meaning creating activities, which is also a part of the third one. So we have workshops, we have seminars within HQ, whereby each teams, for example, there's a time the data team, they carried out a workshop on how to use a particular data tool, which also it was, really beneficial for me as a designer. So, creating activities, accessible design activities that is open, is free, what accessibility is, it accommodates every kind of person in the company. Yeah, it's easy to understand. So we can create this, design activities to make sure that every team member understood, our design process or design tool. So there are sometimes we carry out workshops on how to use Figma, beginner-friendly tutorial, and one of our design team or members would, volunteer to teach the company, so teach like everyone how to use, if everyone have questions on all of those, we discussed that. So one thing I said is adapt design ops components now, like how you work creates impact. I think I couldn't be able to go through all of those points. I think they're so long, but definitely the slides will be available right after this call. And adapt design ops component now, they're really great if you go through them and settle down and know what works and attach it to your workflow. I think it will make you produce design works faster, and also you should have a streamlined process of doing things. So it helps you avoid burnout and all of those. Oh shit, I think I forgot to apply the benefits of design ops. But I think one of the benefits, it helps you avoid burnout. It helps you manage your design team if you're a design leader. It helps you avoid burnout if you're a designer. It helps you relate with external and internal teams or bodies. So if you're working with external people outside your company or outside the country, it helps you work with them because they will learn about your process and definitely they will adapt to your process. And also it helps you as a designer produce work faster and easier as well. So it's impossible for a single person to focus all these components at once, which I said that after this call, you could go through each of these components and learn what actually works for you and what you should actually collect. So these are general and very detailed points. So after this call, it's very impossible for a single person to focus on all of this. No, so we don't focus on all of this. We just focus on what parts we need and actually works. And also, design ops team, I think, recognize and target areas of particular gravity for a specific context, meaning if you're a design op team, we are design op, we that use design ops, we tend to have a particular context on why we're introducing design ops. So our particular context was that we wanted to improve the workflow between design and other teams in the company. I wanted to improve the workflow between design and external teams in the company, such as our partners and others. So getting started with design system, this helps a bit very simple. A single individual cannot pay attention, which I said. And first of all, before you get started, you need to ask questions. So having an open mind is key as a designer, which I always share with my team and all of everybody. If you're not clear about something, I think this is also general advice. It's great to ask questions. So I think before our call today, I was asking you some questions, and I think I don't really care if there are simple basic questions, but I just want to clear the air. I just want to know that we are in sync, both I myself and you as recognize me in sync, and they understand me, I understand how it works in the time, links and all of those. I ask about a few questions, and I think it's great to ask questions when carrying out design ops. So questions meaning you should ask your stakeholders, which is carry out some stakeholder interviews, discussing with your heads of department, your bosses, asking them where they think design can be improved. So if they tell you design should be improved, amazing. Okay. So I think we've got some questions. I'm just finished getting started. Thank you, Grace, for that question. So, carrying out stakeholder interviews really help you on getting started. So you know where to get started. Like I said, design ops is a very big field. It consists of a lot of branches, a lot of teams, a lot of files, a lot of stuff. So asking, stakeholders on what is of high priority, like what you should focus on, is actually key. To understand business goals, to understand the overall goal of the company and how your design op is going to affect it. They also carry out internal research, meaning listening tours and surveys and tests to determine the main problem, which I also said, discussing with teams and carrying out internal research and also external research as well. Forgot to add that. And also draft out. So when you've carried out this research, you know where to start from. You should draft out a plan on executing your insight. You should have a plan on how these components that you want to use to enhance your design company's process. You'll get this plan and you execute them. So you execute them by carrying out all of this that we talked about, which are the components of design. So back to Grace's question, do you get to interface with DevOps? What's the main difference between design ops and DevOps? Okay, amazing. I think there are two questions. The first one is, do you get to interface with DevOps? So Grace, what do you mean by interface? Do you mean, do we get to relate to DevOps? I think I just need to understand the context of the word interface you meant there. But while you're answering that, the second one is, what's the main difference between design op? Okay. No, we actually don't. So it's not a must, but I think it's part of our design ops to always, be in collaboration with the engineers. So it is in our design op process, which is I think would be in how we get work done. So it's in our plan to relate to the engineers, but it's not a must that DevOps. I think DevOps is about operation of devs. It's just like design ops, but it's about developers in terms of how they work and how they ship, produce, bugs, solve problems, all of those. It's all about the operation of developers. And just way design ops is about the operations of designers. I think it's a very word, but I think do you get interface with DevOps? I would say yes. We don't every time. We only relate to them when there is a problem. So and there are problems in few cases because we have a design operation process. But if there is no problem, our work is very simple. We talk with users, we talk with stakeholders, we talk with teams, we talk with everybody. We'll get our insights, we design a product, we pass through first iteration, pass through second iteration, and once it's approved, we send over for engineering, do some engineering handoff. And yeah, I think that is where we stop. So we kind of hand with getting to them. But if there's an issue and there is somewhere we missed, we definitely get to interface and relate with the developers. I don't know if we're relating with their operations, but I know that we tend to relate with the developers. And the main difference between design ops and dev ops, I would say, is design ops is for designers, dev ops is for developers. So I'm not really into dev ops, or I really don't know details of dev ops, but I'd say the difference is design ops are for designers and dev ops are for developers. So I'm happy to share some links after this call on dev ops and what it entails. I think the main difference and the key difference is designer for designers. We use it. It involves our own processes and tools that we use. So developers actually don't use Figma a lot. We are, the masters of Figma. So those are just the two key differences I could point out. Okay, another question is, what are the required skills for a design ops career? That is a great question. Design required skills, it's definitely, first of all, it involves, I'll talk about soft skills. Involves communication. For you to, to have a career in design ops, you should be able to communicate clearly and effectively with your teammates, with managers, with bosses, and all of those. So one of soft skills is communication, and the other soft skill is presentation. Because in design ops, you're actually, designing processes. So you should be able to present your processes with, your teammates and whoever you're working with effectively, with engineers, product managers, and all of those. So it's, another soft skill is communication. And then I would say planning. Planning is also a soft skill. For you to design these operations, you should be able to plan. You should be able to have the ability. Not everyone knows how to plan effectively. So having the ability to know how to plan is like one of the big, skill of design ops. Then I think another part is that really helps me, because I think I've started a career in design ops and design systems. And I think one other, for art skills, I think it's great to learn tools like FigJam, Figma, prototyping tools like Prototype, InVision, and no, I wouldn't say After Effects, all of those, but I think it's great to have basic understanding of basic tools like Figma and spreadsheets, because you'll be doing a lot of calculations and all of those. So I think, yeah, those are the core skills. So I think I don't like saying that for you to be, in this part of design as a career, you have to do something special. You have to be, an alien, or you have to be an extraordinaire to be in this field of design. So I think all field of design, they actually work together. So if you're an interaction designer, 3D designer, UI designer, product designer, design ops, design manager, art director, creative director, we all do the same thing. We all have one goal, which is enhancing the product we're working on, which is listening to user goals, merging user goals with business goals, which is, we only have one product on solving, we only have one goal on solving problems. So for you to be a design ops, to have current design ops, I think you should focus more on your soft skills, because I think it's relatively, in line with being a product designer, like what we do. So no, big issue there. It's just, taking some time out to learn more about design ops as a career. Yeah, I think we'll get into the end of it. And summary, what is design ops? Design ops. Oh, so sorry, Grace. Did I answer your questions? My bad manners. Okay, while Grace answer, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. But yeah, I think in summary is design ops, 5%. Oh, I tried. Thank you, Grace. So in summary, design ops is the integration of overall improvement processes and crafts to increase the value and impact of designer skill. Why why design ops matter is it helps designers, companies, and teams execute their plan easily. And components of design ops is how work get there, how we get our work done, and how work creates impact. And yeah, I think this repetition, apologies. And yeah, I think I would say thank you. And my name is Marvis. This is my Twitter handle. Yeah, if you mind, give me a follow. And yeah, happy to, you know, answer any questions. Send me DM. Happy to have a chat and learn more about you as a designer, and how we could collaborate and work together now and in the future. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. If you have, are we getting the slides? Yes, Taiwo, you are. You are. Okay, and Ro, before you go, any advice to young designers? Consistency, I would say. What really helped me in my design career is the ability to always show up. I think I fail to see that right now in young designers. I was telling a friend, an intern, when I was mentoring artists, can you show up every day for the next 2 years? If you can, I mean, sky's the limit. So any advice I'm going to give young designers is be consistent in your craft. Don't be a generalist, be a specialist. Focus on one thing, then you improve on it. So be consistent and focus. Like I was doing design. When I started design, I didn't do UX design because I'm a fast learner and I wanted to focus on one thing while I improve on the other. So if you check, go to my Twitter or my Instagram or go to my Dribble, go to some years back, I was doing strictly UI designs. Like I literally didn't know about UX design, or I knew about it, but I didn't really learn more on it. So I was doing UI design, screens, beautiful screens, pushing all of those, bringing them out. So any advice is I was so consistent. I think the pandemic helped me a lot some years back. I think I started from graphic design to product design and now as a design leader. So um, I think it was consistent that really helped me on doing something over and over again. And sometimes I design, I share it on social media, and I barely get any engagement. But my saving point is someone was looking, you know. So I get hit by recruiters from work that I've done in the past on how to on working with them from big companies, small companies, Nigeria and international. So the fact is, because you have seen some work. So like I tell people, I tell junior designers is if you want something, there's somebody who's willing to give you what you want. But they need to know what you have done for them to be able to trust you with their money or the project. So, but when you don't have any work to show, it doesn't have to be a full case study or a big case study or this cool stuff. No, just show that you are able and you're capable of doing it, and that can be only done um, through consistency, through showing up every day. That is a key advice I would say. So be consistent and focus. So if you want to focus on interaction, motion, UI, UX, research, narrow down your niche, but be a generalist, but also be a specialist. Like know a bit about all these departments, but be focused on one thing. And I promise the sky is the limit. And yeah, I think how did you transit in your design journey from freelancing to design ops? Mm, I think that would be that would be very very weird way to say it. Well, how did I transit? It was, I think it was money. I mean, a transit. So freelancing, I'm dead ass serious. I'll say the truth and no BS. But I was making some money in freelancing through Upwork and all of those. But I got an offer, from this cool Web3 company, and I said, okay, so I actually don't make this I make this kind of money in freelancing, but it comes once in a while. Let me just focus on career back. Let me just focus on design ops and as a leader. So I think the money was key. So yeah, I wouldn't lie. The money made me transit from freelance into design. What do you generally think about case studies? Do you feel case studies are quite important for your like first gig or maybe entry level, or supposed to share a few screens of a few ways to doing up as a case, most important features in UI and small amount of UX? Amazing question, Subaru. I think case studies are good. They are key. They give you an edge, you know. But I would say you shouldn't really, kill yourself on having the perfect case study. I have a terrible portfolio. And what really got me most of my, gigs, it's through referrals and through social medias. I have a terrible portfolio. So I would say design. Okay, thank you, Tio. Sure, Grace, happy to give you feedback. So design is key, and what I think about case study is they are important. No doubt, I wouldn't lie to you. Case study are key, but I would say don't focus on trying to create a killer case study with animation. I think when I see designers try to create case studies, they go to places like awards and all of those to see beautiful big text and animations and a lot of research everywhere. What really fascinates people is how you can tell them you actually solve a problem. So I think you could actually share with me, talk with me in chat. I think time's about to go, but I've tried Upwork but no gig. Any pointers? Mm. Upwork is good. I think I made a couple of bucks there. Made about, yeah, I think I made a bit about money on a good amount of money on Upwork. Started Upwork some years back, but pointers is you have to be patient in Upwork. No doubt, you have to really be patient. But I would say Upwork is saturated now. So I would suggest, you as a designer, you should really focus your energy on Upwork. You should focus your energy on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is LinkedIn is a gold mine that people don't know now. So focus your energy on LinkedIn and you know social media. It's a gold mine on Instagram Reels. Tweet, TikTok. I barely see designers there. I think I'm just saying my preference. So Upwork is very saturated. There are lots of people. There are a lot of indie guys who definitely tell you they can do your websites for $3. So Upwork is saturated, but you shouldn't give up. It's definitely a go-to place if you're looking for, quick freelance cash. But I would say, utilizing LinkedIn is key, man. You'd see you get a lot of gigs if you're patient with it. So LinkedIn is like the Facebook of Yearsburg, but if you're patient with it, it's definitely, a good money ground to invest on. So yeah, I think those were like past 1 minute ahead of time. Do you have any questions? So happy to chat today with you all. Okay, so if no questions, and I think these are cool. You guys ask mind-blowing questions, man. I'm super proud of the Nigeria design ecosystem. It wasn't like this some years back. And one I want to say is like, and I talked with Niero is please be consistent. Sometimes, we tend not to get what we want, or we tend to see the success stories of other designers that we tend to like look back ourselves and say, what do we have achieved? But the fact is they didn't start those or they didn't get those in just a day. It took years of experience, years of rejections and all of those. So consistency is key. Focus on yourself, focus on your work, shut out the noise, shut out the BS on the world. And yeah, I think definitely we Nigerians, I mean, there's no company I talk to or there's no business leader I talk to, and they are not proud of Nigeria, the Nigeria design and the Nigeria development, ecosystem. So I think we're going to play. I'm super happy to, see you all in some few years. I think me and Eugene, we are friends. We knew each other some years back. So we talked what month, then we stopped talking. So during UDC, Eugene came. I think Eugene really helped me and appreciate you, man, during UDC on your effort, So when I had to bro, give me your number, then I tried messaging. I saw that we've chatted, So we've connected like some years back, but life brought us back, and I think that connection actually made us closer. So making connection is key. Be friendly, and like I always say, avoid what's happening, the basketballs in the ecosystem, and just focus on yourself and your craft. Amazing. So I'll stop talking now and talk too much. So if there are any questions, I think I would drop the mic now.
Thanks a lot for your time. It's been really, really insightful, I must say. I believe everybody has value for the hour I have spent with you. So thanks a lot, Marvis. So I dropped his social media handles, LinkedIn and Twitter, in case you want to connect and have further conversations with him. So he's going to be really open. So this session is being recorded and will be uploaded on our YouTube channel soon. So you could also follow us on our social media for other events. So like we already know, it's a weekly event. So we are having this again next week with another speaker. So do have to stop by. Recordings will be made available in the shortest time possible. The slides as well will be sent via our newsletter. So that'll be all from my end. I hope you had a good time, which I know I did. I know I did. So thanks a lot, Marvis. It's really, really awesome having you around. Thanks a lot. Have a good night, guys. That'll be all from my end.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Talk to you all later. Bye.